Okay, so this is going to be the same as yesterday, except with the minus sign between it instead of a plus. So the first problem here, so I have 6 over x minus 7 over x. So the denominator stays the same, and 6 minus 7 gives me -1. So on the next one, the denominator stays the same, and I get 9 plus x minus 4. And when I combine like terms, I get 5 plus x over 2x. So it works exactly the same, except with the minus between it. So this is how we're going to do this. So if you look at number 1, I have to start with the common denominator. So the common denominator here would be x plus 2 and x minus 2. So what's the first step once I have the common denominator? So write the 3 down. So what's underneath the 3? So what has to come up and multiply? So I'm going to put x minus 2. So the next thing, what do I bring down? I bring down the 8, but what's between it? So I'm going to have negative. What's underneath the 8? So what do I have to bring up? So when I distribute, I'm going to get 3x minus 6. And so here's where a common error happens. I'm going to take the -8, and I have to multiply it times both things. So that's going to give me minus 8x, and then a minus times a positive still gives me a negative. Right? So then I'm going to combine like terms. So 3 minus 8 gives me minus 5x. Minus 6 minus 16 is minus 22. And so there's your answer. So what's my common denominator next? Right, so I'm going to have x plus 1 and x minus 1. So I'm going to bring the 3 down. And what has to come up and multiply? Very good. So then I'm going to write minus x, and what has to come up and multiply? All right. And now I'm going to distribute. So when I distribute, I'm going to get 3x minus 3. And when I distribute this time, I'm going to take minus x times both things. That gives me minus x squared minus x. So I want to combine like terms. So I have minus x squared. And then I have 3x minus x, which gives me 2x minus 3. Now, can I factor with a negative x squared? So I'm going to take out a -1. And that'll change all the signs, right? So I get x squared minus 2x plus 3. And this is all over x plus 1 and x minus 1. And the top will factor now. So I'm going to get 3 and -1. Oh, no, -3 and +1. Sorry. No. No, it doesn't factor, does it? Never mind. So it doesn't factor. I almost did. But it doesn't factor, so that'll be your answer. If it did factor, we would have to factor and cancel. Right. I took out the negative, right? So at least I got that part right. I did get that part right, okay? But this doesn't factor, so yeah. You'll be sad if I have a wrong answer key, right? Yeah. That would be sad. I think we gotta change the key. She probably made a mistake. It's that I've been known to do that. For real? I have made a mistake before and had to go back and fix them. Oh, no. I missed a problem, so I had to go back. But no. Okay. So here's another common error that happens, friends. When you go to write your common denominator right now, this is what you do. A lot of you will write down 2x minus 6 and 4x minus 12. It's not. So what did they have in common here? 2. So this is x minus 3. And that's 4 times x minus 3. So when I'm getting the common denominator, okay, look, there's lots of you that are like texting and like checking your messages as I'm doing this. And so don't ask me any questions once we're done, okay? This is my explanation time. And if you got time to be checking your messages, you don't need help. All right, so when I go to a common denominator, so I'm going to have the x minus 3 because there's 1 in each. So what do I bring down, the 2 or the 4? So, okay, so if they were different, like if it was 3 and 4, I would have to multiply and get 12, right? But can I divide 2 into 4? Yeah. So I'm just going to bring the 4 down. So then I'm going to write the x minus 5. Now, what's the difference between this and this? It's times 2. And so then I'm going to write minus x minus 7. So is anything different here? So there's nothing to bring up and multiply, right? Because they're the same. So I'm going to distribute. Now, when I distribute the 2, it's positive. So I'm going to distribute the 2. So I'm going to get 2x minus 10. And then I'm going to distribute the negative 1. So 2x minus x is x minus 3. So now what happens? These cancel. I didn't forget anything. All of you catch up with me. 2x minus x is x. Negative 10 plus 7 is negative 3. Are you all caught up yet? You're in the boat? I know. Because the x minus 3 is canceled. Can you just leave it blank? No. Sometimes I am, but in this case, I am not. All right. So this x squared minus 4, how does that factor? X plus 2, x minus 2. So once I factor that, my common denominator,
x minus 2, x plus 2.
You're not wrong either. You're all right. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the top down, right? Because those are the same. So I'm going to bring this down, and I don't have anything to multiply it by. So I'm just going to write that, just like that. Because these are the same, so there's nothing to multiply. And I know I can factor out of 2, and I know this factors more. But let's not do extra work if we don't have to. We'll just bring this down, okay? And next, I'm going to write minus and the x plus 4. So what do I have to bring up and multiply?
X plus 2.
Did you say plus 2, Javon?
I meant
minus. That's okay. I'm sure that's what you meant. It's okay. I knew. I had it. So what do I do next with all of this?
multiply.
I'm going to multiply first, right? Because we multiply before we add and subtract. So I'm going to multiply all this together. So once I do that, now what do I do with the minus sign? I have to distribute. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus 16 minus x squared minus 2x plus 8. So now what happens? So I have 2x squared minus x squared gives me x squared minus 2x, and then the negative 16 plus 8 gives me minus 8. And this is all over x plus 2 and x minus 2. Now, does the top factor this time? It does. So I have negative 8, negative 2, which is going to give me minus 4 and 2. And so what will cancel? Can I cancel the x's? Now? No. Can I cancel the 4 and the 2? No. Because there's a sign between them, so you're not allowed.